NFL podcast playing the field journal 007. Gonna go over some stats and standings. We're gonna compare them daddy leagues and on the PS4, my PS5, the actual game version. We're gonna take a look at the playoff picture, talk about some stats. Let's get to it. Without further ado, here we go. Alright, so we're gonna look at your standings right now. The AFC playoff picture according to daddy leagues. The Broncos, Dan, 13-0, possibly 14-0 with this pending game against Faz. The time is 6:05 a.m. on February 19th. We've got Prime, according to daddy leagues, the second seed, 12-2. The Dolphins, 10-4. The Ravens, 7-7. Jacksonville, 11-3. I hope this is accurate, boys. It has to be accurate. Jacksonville 11-3, the Chargers 8-5, and the Las Vegas Raiders 9-5. Then you got a couple teams there on the bubble. The NFC, Vikings 12-1, Rams 10-3, Washington 9-4, Panthers 10-4, Niners 10-3-1, Meats 10-3-1, the Bucks 9-5, and a couple teams there on the bubble. Big win by Lawyer Killer to keep his playoff hopes alive. All right. We're going to compare that now really quick. We're just going to double check, just kind of see where we're at in comparison with daddy leagues. Daddy leagues doesn't really let you down too much, but now we're going to take a look at the console. According to the console, we got the Broncos 13-0, the Colts 12-2, the Jaguars 11-3. So you got the West, the South. You'd have to have the North up here, boys. The North's not even right. West, South, South, East. So Paulie's probably the third seed right now. And whatever the shit show with the North, I mean, you got, right, and T's and P's real quick. T's and P's to, I can't talk today. T's and P's to Woods. He might have the Rona. So hopefully he makes it through that, and NYT 7-7. So that's kind of who's looking at the fourth seed, and that would, the Colts and Jaguars would be, depending on how it shakes out, the second seed. The Chargers, Raiders. It's pretty accurate. I think Daily Leagues is pretty accurate. The NFC, Rams, Niners, Cardinals, Washington, Panthers, Bucks. Yeah, I think it was pretty accurate and looking at it. So playoffs, the seeding, like everyone else has said, we think that the teams are set at this point as more or less just going to be the standings, who's going to have what seed, the seeding is what we're really looking at. So I want to talk about stats. I was going through this and I just happened to notice that the passing numbers don't bother me. You're 13 games in, 13, 14 games in. The Prime's 14 games in. We got 30 tutties, and you could go through the list. Actually, we might take this back to the console as well, just because it's a little bit easier to navigate on the console. But I was kind of blown away when I saw the stats. We're going to flip it over real quick. So if you go by player stats, so Frank George, 30 touchdowns. Nothing out of the ordinary here in the passing game. The rushing is unbelievable. I mean, it may come time where we need to stat cap somebody. A rookie running back running for 2,435 yards and 32 touchdowns. Now, to put that in perspective, Eric Dickerson in 1984 set the NFL single-season rushing record with 21.05 or something like that from 1984 to 2020. In real life, it hasn't been broken. And now you got a lot of running backs that are, these guys are at least finished with 1,800 yards, but I don't know how often that happens in the SML. I'll have to double check here in a second. The rushing touchdown record was set by LT. What was it, 28, I believe? And you've got another running back that could break it or tie it or damn near close to it, and Edens who broke it. So I think that we may need a little bit of a stat cap or some type of rule change. The receiving yards don't really bother me. I don't think that that's too outlandish. Obviously, you can see where Washington's going with the football. So if you're playing the Washington football team, player to watch for. He's got almost double the receptions of an average receiver and has 20 tutties. So I think I personally think we need a stat cap. Especially if you go by, and they broke it last year. It's been broken every season. 1984, 2105, and it's literally been broken 4 times in this league alone. And then you look at the touchdowns. LaDainian Tomlinson, 28. The single season touchdown record's been broken 3 times in the SML. But I digress. We're going to move on from that. I think that it would be interesting to see just kind of how everything shakes out here in the playoff picture. We don't have too many weeks left. We're moving on. And I think if you had to make a prediction, a too early prediction, my too early predictions, if you're just going off the standings right now, I think it would have to be Faz in the Super Bowl versus, I'm going to have to say Faz and Dan. It could be a potential Super Bowl preview that you're seeing right now. And if you look at Dan's stats, the way that he plays defense, you look at the way the Vikings plays football, and no disrespect to Meats, Dump, or anybody else out there, I just think that he's just playing really, really good football right now, and obviously anything can happen when the playoffs start. So we'll see what happens. So I guess while I'm on my soapbox, and this will be the final point, I'll just kind of close with these final thoughts. The reason why I think a stat cap or some type of a rule change is necessary, it's not so much that the records are being broken or that it's been a kind of a consistent thing the last 3 cycles or so. I think not only would it be positive to keep the sim environment from the standpoint of people mix up their play calling more, I think that it would just kind of bring everything back home a little bit and make guys not rely so much on the run that are just really sitting on the run. I think it would just kind of eliminate the cheese of it, and overall kind of bring us all back down to earth a little bit. And I know a lot of guys are probably going to disagree with that, especially the guys that have set some records here in the SML. Maybe I'm the only one out there. It's just a point. It's probably not a popular take, but we're not always going to have it. Like Coach Pauly says, sometimes you just got to lay out the truth, and not everyone's always ready for the truth. But I just think that it's something that needs to be considered. The facts are out there. Go out and look. Maybe we need to compare some stats to some other leagues. I guess it doesn't matter. Maybe it's just what the league as a whole wants. But for me personally, I think a stat cap is necessary. Like I said, I just feel like it's going to rein in the play call ratio issues. It's just going to make things, I'm not going to say more fair, but it's going to just make it feel less like lobby ball, less like mutt. I think it'll be a more positive experience in the SML. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the group me. DM me if you got an issue with something I said, or if you got an issue with somebody in general. We can have a good positive discussion. Check us out, simmadleague.com, daddyleagues.com/SML. Zazzle, we got some merch. Get yourself something ordered on there. Follow me on Twitch, Field Journal 007. I'm kind of streaming almost every day if I can, just depending on the work days if I can get up in time. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Like, subscribe, take care.